Apparently, you guys really liked my video on Chapter 101 of My Dress Up Darling. I was thinking about doing one for Chapter 102 as well, but not much happened as far as plot development. It's mostly just speculation and setup for the next arc, so I didn't feel the need to do another breakdown video. Additionally, the series is on hiatus in April, so we won't be getting Chapter 103 until May, probably around the 17th. I might have a video then, but maybe not. We'll see how I feel after reading it. Regardless, I've been thinking about doing this video for a while now. This will be a video discussing events that I think will happen in Season 2 of the anime, especially since Volume 11 just came out in English, and I think that Season 2 will conclude somewhere in Volume 11. Probably. Spoilers. Duh. No, we don't have an announced date yet, and I'm not expecting one for a while. If we're lucky, the anime will air next year. Oh, link down below if you want to order the series on Amazon. Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Danon. I'm currently reading over 600 manga and light novels, and my two favorite genres are fantasy and romance. So on this channel, we talk a lot about both of those genres. But we tend to look more into story structure and tropes rather than how cool the fight scenes are, or how great the animation or artwork is. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Season 1 of My Dress Up Darling covered almost every page of the first 5 volumes of the manga. This seems to be a trend. Most single core series cover about 5 volumes of a manga, give or take. That being said, I don't think Season 2 of the anime will end exactly where Volume 10 of the manga ends. Volume 5 was a good stopping point for Season 1, but the same doesn't hold true for Volume 10. We're mid-story after all. Thinking about it, this season will probably consist of 3 arcs: the Bunny Girl arc, the High School Festival arc, and the Coffin Game arc. Volume 10 ends about halfway through the Coffin Game story, which is why I don't think we'll stop right there. The animation director could stretch out the first 2 arcs to have them fit in 12 episodes, or they could trim a bit here and there to fit all 3 arcs into a single core. I'm sure after the first 2 episodes of the anime air, manga readers will know how far the story's gonna go. Now, this video will only be discussing the first 2 arcs. If enough people like this video and want me to discuss the Coffin arc, by all means, let me know in the comments below. Volume 6 of this series starts out with Marin and Gojo attending a cosplay event at an aquarium. Gojo is in his usual attire, while Marin is in a new version of her first cosplay, Shizuku-tan. But this time, instead of the costume with... she's in a kimono with a maid motif. I love how Marin returning to Shizuku-tan, the costume that started the relationship between our 2 main characters, marks the start of a new, much longer arc. While wandering the aquarium, they find a fellow cosplayer experiencing a wardrobe malfunction. She dropped a skirt hook and she's trying to find it. Quick aside so you can understand this next panel. Most anime have ridiculously long titles these days because they started as web novels on Soyetsu before getting picked up as light novels and then adapted to anime. Soyetsu has millions, and I'm not exaggerating here, and millions of stories. So in order to make your story stand out and attract new readers, your title is basically an elevator pitch. The title sort of explains what the story is about to help generate interest. Of course, long titles can get ridiculous, so fans will often shorten the title into something easier to say. For example, this summer we're getting an adaptation of my favorite romance light novel series, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian, which the community has shortened to Roshidere. I say all of this so you can understand Marin's freaking out when she sees this other cosplayer, who's cosplaying as Hasegawa Subarun from Cosmora, aka Space Idol Cosmo Lovers. Because of course Space Idol Cosmo Lovers would get shortened to Cosraba. And seeing something with an SSR level of cuteness breaks Marin and she's unable to stay in character. Working together, the 3 of them eventually find the missing skirt hook, and Gojo volunteers to repair it. But wait, Gojo can't go into the girls' changing room, and Himeno Amane can't come into the boys' changing room. It's against the rules. It's okay, Gojo. I'm a boy. Marin waits around for Gojo to finish helping Himeno with his skirt, and meets up with Suzuku-san, someone she met at her first cosplay event. Now, we only met Suzuka once in Season 1, but she will become a more important character throughout Season 2, but that's later on. After Gojo helps Himeno with his skirt, he asks a question that makes Himeno very nervous. Are you cross-dressing right now? You can see the fear and hesitation on Himeno's face. But Gojo isn't here to bully him. Is there anything we should pay attention to? Gojo is trying to learn as much as possible about cosplay, and that includes crossplay. Himeno is obviously very relieved, and they discuss various tips and tricks for crossplay. In anime, you can just throw on a suit and a wig and boom, a girl is now a boy. But reality is different. Women have different body shapes than men. Obviously, there are lots of different body shapes, but a suit would not hide Marin's curves. And Gojo can't just put on a wig and a dress and be a convincing girl. Remember, My Dress-Up Darling is a seinen, not a shonen, so it's a more realistic series. Also, this scene is important for the future, but not as important as Marin getting excited to see some boobs. Cosplay is big business in Japan, and 2D characters tend to have unrealistic body shapes. It can be hard to just use padding to make your breasts appear as large as the character you're wanting to cosplay. So they have fake boobs for cosplay. Himeno puts a pair of boobs on Gojo, which embarrasses him, but he gets even more embarrassed when Marin feels him up. The rest of the store is full of pre-made costumes, but also has a crafting section. Makeup, paint, fake eyelashes. Gojo gets more excited about the makeup than Marin does. There are pre-styled wigs and accessories, and even some new material that catches Gojo's eye. COS board. It's a closed-cell polyethylene foam that can be shaped to make accessories. Most of the armor and weapons you see in cosplay are made of foam rather than leather and steel. Even though foam itself is a bit more expensive than steel, the tools to work it are dirt cheap by comparison. Anyway, back on track. Himeno and Marin take some photos together, recreating some scenes from their respective series, and even take some photos with other people. Eventually, we learn about Himeno's backstory and how they got into cosplaying. He was always small and cute, but it wasn't until his big sister did his makeup and put a dress on him that he realized how pretty he was. He finally felt powerful dressing as a girl. He would continue to do so in private, dress up as a girl, put on makeup and a wig, and just feel pretty. Everyone should feel pretty, and if you don't, you should try getting dressed up. Trust me, I put a suit on and I'm frickin' Lex Luthor. Anyway, one day Himeno's girlfriend accused him of cheating because she found all of his dresses. After finding out they were his, she was disgusted and threw them away. So he dumped her, which is right and proper, but this still caused Marin to cry. In fact, Himeno was traumatized by her actions and hesitant to ever appear in public crossplaying. But meeting Marin and Gojo, as well as the other cosplayers who were happy about how cute he was, helped him gain some courage. I estimate that this is about where episode 1 will end. The next arc will probably break the internet when it happens, and we're gonna spoil it. Sorry about that. It starts out with Gojo watching a very silly anime consisting of 3 bunny girls fighting against some yakuza. The show is a comedy, as you can see from the images. Marin wants to play Arisha, one of the bunny girls, someone who looks cool but is actually a sweet ditzy klutz. Gojo, who thought he was used to Marin's eccentricities by now, is completely overwhelmed by her passion for bunny girls. 'Cause everyone loves bunnies. This arc is in 2 parts, the costuming part and the Halloween part. During the costuming, Gojo can't figure out what he's doing wrong. He's made several costumes so far, but for some reason he can't get the bunny girl outfit to stay upright. Marin tries coming up with some solutions, and these solutions work if you're a professional model, but this is cosplay, not modeling. Ideally, Marin can wear this costume over and over again. I'll give you an example. This is a tunic I made for myself back when I used to LARP. It is made of trigger, also known as target, a bottom weight or pant weight fabric that is a poly cotton blend. It holds color very well, doesn't stain easily, is machine washable and easy to applique. Since I'm swinging a sword around, I need this to be durable, like a high-quality sports jersey, something that will last for years. So each seam is triple stitched, a flat stitch, then overlocked, then flattened down and stitched again, similar to how jeans are made. The applique around the neck and the bottom of the tunics have French seams, so the ends of the fabric are actually hidden inside. I don't say this to brag, just to point out the difference between making costumes to run around in all day, as opposed to what runway models wear, something that usually only lasts for about 15 minutes. Eventually, Gojo and Marin return to their local fabric store and chat with the salesperson. The scene with this guy was the only part cut from Season 1. Gojo was buying materials for costumes and showed him the sketch to get some ideas. The salesperson thought Gojo was making the outfit for himself. You know, the same thing his grandfather thought. Then, in this scene, Marin pops up and he realizes his mistake. He also reminds Gojo of the existence of boning. Boning, called such because it used to be made of whalebone, is now made of plastic. In the 19th century, boning was used for everything from hoop skirts to corsets to parasol ribbing. Gojo, of course, feels like an idiot for forgetting about boning. With boning, there's no chance that the bunny suit will slip off, which disappoints Marin to no end. But she does get cheered back up at the Haruhi reference. Of course, even after the boning is attached, Marin still experiences some problems with the costume. But they finally find a great location to do the photo shoot. In fact, Marin discovered it when looking up cosplays of another character from the same series. Gojo, as a teenage boy, is still not comfortable with Marin showing so much skin, and bunny girl outfits are designed to be provocative. It's all he can do not to freak out when Marin shows off her bunny tail. Marin mentioned how she was amazed how something as simple as the line on the back of a stocking completely changes the feel of the stockings. I mean, just look, Gojo! I love how clueless Marin is. She has no idea how attractive she is, or what kind of reaction a teenage boy would have to someone as pretty as she is. While Marin is trying to brainstorm an excuse to wear a different pair of leggings, she decides to just wear it for the Ween party. Oh, you mean Halloween. Yeah, only my closest friends go. You should come too, Gojo. So, poor Gojo gets dragged to the Halloween party. Marin has the bunny girl outfit, but no wig this time, and she's got the fishnets on that she likes. Everyone is in shock at how good looking she is, and everyone wants a photo with her. Were bunnies always this cute? Of course they were. Remember, everyone loves bunnies. Of course, the party moves to a karaoke club and several of their classmates are hanging out. Gojo's even wearing a matching bunny costume. Sort of. Of course, he's still incredibly nervous. Gojo has been a shy loner for years, with Marin being his only friend. And they've only been friends for a few months. Assuming they started hanging out in July, a couple weeks before midterms and a summer break, they've only known each other for 4 months. That is not enough time for Gojo to get over his long-term trauma, but he is better than he used to be. But then, one of Marin's friends asks a question he's been dreading. How are you able to do all that makeup and make those costumes? You're a guy. Gojo starts sweating bullets. All his old traumas rear their ugly heads. But the question, although a bit sexist, came from ignorance, not malice. Another of Marin's friends points out that his big brother is a professional makeup artist. Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, Gojo, your family runs Iwataki Gojo? I went there for a social studies trip back in grade school. Your family does amazing work. Just because someone said it once doesn't mean everyone will say it. Jumping to conclusions is wrong. You should widen your vision, Gojo. Not everyone thinks what you do is stupid, girly, and gross. And just as he's settling down, realizing that people aren't as bad as he thought, Noah asks the question that's been on everyone's mind, which causes an understandable reaction. Her friends point out that she's been spending a lot of time with Gojo. They were even seen going to the festival together. That's right, we totally went together, 'cause we wanted to. Gojo, of course, is mortified and exclaims that they're not dating, then runs off, embarrassed. Marin follows after him. Her friend's reactions was, why don't they date? After all, Gojo is frickin' husband goals. Who wouldn't want to date him? I mean, think about this logically. He cooks, sews, and helps Marin achieve her dreams. At the same time, he has his own goals in life and is working towards them. But he also makes time and takes an interest in Marin's hobbies. Think about this from your point of view. Have you ever had a friend who hung on your every word, who shared interests, who had a different perspective on life so you may have approached things differently, but you still went on a journey together? No wonder Marin fell in love with Gojo so quickly. But will Gojo ever fall in love with Marin? Or has he already? Marin is a little depressed. Why did Gojo so vehemently deny that they were dating? Does he hate her? Just as Marin is struggling, an angry man shows up in front of her. Someone we've never seen before. Cut to Gojo wallowing in self-pity. He doesn't think he's worthy to ever date Marin. She's pretty and perfect and amazing. What does he have to offer? Only everything most women want, other than the confidence to see what he brings to the table. He leaves the bathroom to find Kitagawa getting hit on and rushes to save her. See, this is what I'm talking about. You go, Gojo. This is why he's best boy. He may not be the funniest or most handsome guy around, but he'll do his best to support her so she can have fun. Come to find out, the person who is about to touch her that Gojo grabs is her stylist. Her gay stylist. And he wasn't hitting on her, he was yelling at her about wearing skimpy clothes in the autumn and how much damage she'd done to her hair recently. Which, to be honest, is appropriate. Marin is a model, and in order to continue earning her income, she needs to take care of her appearance. So stop using such high heat on your hair. Of course, Gojo is mortified. He completely misread the situation. He was rude and unable to read the room. He's always making mistakes like that. Marin doesn't see it that way. Sure, it was an accident, but his motivation was to protect her. And she's really happy about that. So happy that she kisses Gojo. Yes, you heard that right. Well, she kisses the costume's cheek. Then she realizes what she did and refuses to admit it. Yes, this scene will break the internet when it comes out. Of course, Marin's hairdresser was correct, and she caught a cold running around in a bunny girl outfit in October. Gojo, realizing Marin is alone and incapable of making healthy meals and probably lacking medicine, leaves school early to take care of her. Marin, of course, is miserable and breaks down in tears. She's so grateful that Gojo came to take care of her. Of course, he lied to get out of school to take care of her, so when Noah and the girls show up to check on Marin, Gojo hides out on the veranda. Which, of course, causes him to get sick as well. We've seen Marin in photographs, but we've never seen Marin working before. Don't worry, gentle viewer, all that changes in the next chapter. We finally get to see Marin as a professional model. Now, Gojo has been impressed at how comfortable Marin is behind a camera for a while now. Also, he gets to learn about something new. Marin is wearing winter wear, despite it being autumn. You see, fashion magazines are usually 3 to 4 months ahead, and a lot of models complain about how uncomfortable they are wearing heavy clothes when it's not that cold out. But Marin never complains, and always looks amazing. In fact, today she put extra effort into her outfit, because she and Gojo have a birthday party to go to. Whose birthday party? Shizuku-tan's, of course. Now, I've been a geek all my life, but I've never been enough of an otaku to throw a birthday party for a fictional character. But you do you, Marin. As long as you're happy, I support you. The last 2 chapters were kind of filler. A bit of a break between the arcs. But chapter 51 starts a new arc. And with this arc, you'll get to see just how good of an author Fukuda-sensei is. Class 1-5, Gojo and Marin's class, have determined that they'll be running a Russian roulette takoyaki stand. Everyone is excited, and can't wait to start making some of the spiciest wasabi ever. Their teacher reminds them that they can only work before homeroom, during the afternoon break, or after school, but not too late or there will be a point deduction. Wait, points? What do you mean points? There's going to be a ranking system, and the class that gets the most points will win. This fires up the kids. You thought they were fired up before? Oh no, not even close. Now they get the chance to finally beat Class 3 after coming in second behind them at the sports festival. Now class, don't get too loud, the other classes are still studying. Also, one more thing. There will be a beauty pageant on the second day of the festival. The second day is for students only, so don't worry, that day is closed to the general public. Every class will need to have one person participate. But who should we pick? Well, if we gotta pick someone, it's gotta be Kitagawa. Woot! We get to see Marin in a dress! Hold up everyone. The school pageant is cross-dressing. Girls dress as boys, and boys dress as girls. Wait, I can cosplay at school? OMG, OMG, OMG. This is amazing. Wait, just checking. Is there a rule against cosplaying? Nope, you're free to cosplay, Marin. Who are you going to cosplay as, Marin? How about from council host Rei-sama? Yeah, that'll work. Again, the class freaks out, but it's mostly the girls this time. You see, there was a very popular shoujo manga that got made into a drama about a girl who was the student council president, who cross-dressed at night and worked as a host. And she was the #1 host at this bar. She brought in the most money, had the most loyal customers, but most importantly, she worked the hardest. Which scene are you going to cosplay as, Marin? It's going to have to be the bento scene. Stories have the power to move us. We are taken away to another world, sometimes for days at a time if the story is good enough. It was my love of stories that drove me to get a degree in English literature. We all love a good story, but I think many of us forget just how influential stories can be. The West wasn't won because of greed, but because of the stories of freedom and wealth that could be found out here. Though I suppose colonization is a bad example. Regardless, humans have been influenced by stories for millennia. Stories are older than writing. David and Goliath, King Arthur, the Odyssey, Romeo and Juliet. All of these tales resonate with us on a primal level. The Divine Comedy has shaped how heaven and hell have appeared in art and media for 700 years. But what about something a bit more modern? We are an anime channel after all. Tell me you don't feel anything when you hear the words, "I want to live." How about, "Shut up, let's go"? Or maybe, "Luffy, help me." Let's be honest, if you hear Bink Sake and don't shed a tear, you haven't seen One Piece. These are the stories that resonate with us. And they resonated with Gojo. Well, not at first, of course. Why? Because poor Gojo is completely lost, unable to keep up with the conversation in the classroom. But it's okay. Marin will get him all the volumes after school so he can read them and get to know the characters. Not only will Gojo be reading council host, now everyone in class knows that Gojo is the one who sews Marin's costumes. The next chapter starts out with the bento scene from council host, as well as a couple of other scenes from the manga. And of course, Gojo bawls his eyes out. No trash-talking our boy for crying over a story. Remember, dear viewer, you and I both cried over a boat. Now, the character that resonated with Gojo the most was Tokiko-sama, Rei's biggest supporter. Her line, "I don't mind not being the star if it can make Rei shine," is foreshadowing for my favorite scene in the series, which we are fast approaching. Marin and Gojo go over the design of the costume, and Gojo is worried about having enough time to make it, on top of helping out with the takoyaki stand that the rest of the class is working on. So he nervously asks Marin if she can do the shopping. When the rest of the class hears about this, they kind of freak out at him. Don't you know how bad Marin is at shopping? What's wrong with you, Gojo? Go! Stop her! Don't worry about us, we'll cover things here. You focus on the costume. And so he does. For the next 2 weeks, Gojo works on the costume for Marin. Marin tries helping in her own way, but she's much better at emotional support than doing anything with her hands. They buy fabric together, discuss the series, and even make the wig together. But something feels off to Gojo, and he can't quite tell what it is. It isn't until Marin puts on the costume that he figures it out. One of the most important things when making clothing is getting accurate measurements of the person. As you all remember, in episode 2 of the anime, Gojo gets Marin's measurements. All of them. Much to his discomfort. So he makes the suit for Marin based on those measurements. But Marin is wearing breast-flattening and butt-flattening underwear, so her measurements have changed. If you've never sewn something for someone that it was tight enough that it required them to wear a specific bra, you probably won't understand this. But cosplayers will. But that's not the only thing wrong with the costume. Marin is a girl. She stands like a girl, walks like a girl, and talks like a girl. But she's going to be cosplaying as a boy, so Gojo wants her to act manly while on stage. The audience won't be able to see her facial expressions, but they will see how she walks and stands. So Gojo asks one of their classmates to act as an example. Stance, attitude, how he walks, and of course, Marin is a consummate model and can easily pick out the details. Finally, after a few more setbacks that our heroes are able to overcome, the day of the pageant has arrived. Marin is hyped. She's gonna take the #1 spot. Gojo really got into this costume, and the whole class is behind them. So he prepares to do the makeup for Marin. Only he wasn't expecting to have everyone in front of him. Gojo has never performed in front of an audience before, and his low self-esteem and anxiety rear their ugly heads. Why is everyone coming to watch? Well, the girls wanted to see how the cosplay makeup was done, and almost everyone in the class loves Rei-sama, so of course they'd want to see. At previous events, there were lots of people doing makeup, but everyone was paying attention to their own makeup, not the others around them, so it wasn't a big deal. But here, in front of the whole class, that's a lot of stares. Gojo starts spiraling, cracking under the pressure. He tries to tell himself to calm down, but it's not working. His heart rate is out of control. How is he supposed to do this? Everyone else did such a great job. What happens if he fails? It will be all his fault. But he can't pull himself out of this. Gojo-kun? You okay? One voice cuts through his anxiety. He remembers what Marin said earlier. She's gonna walk into that pageant with the costume he made and the makeup he'll put on, and she'll be #1. Of course, what other outcome could there be? Gojo smacks himself, takes a deep breath, removes his sweater, takes off his tie, and gets his game face on. It's time to get to work. Marin saying his costumes are the best makes him feel happy, and he's reminded of how happy his grandfather was when he complimented his grandpa's Hina dolls. But he's never experienced the feeling of, I want to be the best until now. Has he ever really pushed himself to win? Not just to do a good job, he's always tried to do a good job, but there is a world of difference between the effort you put in to do a good job and the effort to be #1. But this time, he wants to live up to his classmates' expectations. Oh, so that's what she meant. If I can make Rei shine, I'm happy. I'm fine with being support if I can make Kitagawa #1. I will absolutely do it. With these hands of mine, I will make Kitagawa #1. Nothing else exists. Gojo is entirely focused on the work at hand, transforming Marin into Rei. His classmates are in awe. All his years of training are coalescing into this one moment. The countless hours spent working on Hina dolls, painting faces and practicing, making lips come to life, all so Marin can become Rei. Finally, it's time for Marin to walk on stage. The audience freaks out. One of the most beloved heroines of shoujo manga just walked on stage, so of course everyone freaked out. Marin is shining so brightly on stage that most of the audience can't even think straight, and neither can the judge. Of course, one person in the audience doesn't see Rei-sama. He sees Kitagawa. He thinks about how bright she is, how she's always shining. He studied her face more than any face ever, and every part of her is gorgeous. What is this feeling that's racking him? Gojo isn't sure. Has he felt this before? Yes. Yes, he has. And here it is. In the middle of chapter 62, Gojo finally realizes he's in love with Marin. No, he doesn't spell it out. That's not his style. But he realizes that the all-consuming feeling he had when he first saw Hinadal all those years ago is the same feeling he has when looking upon Marin. Of course, before he can fully process that bomb of information, Marin calls him out. Gojo made this costume and did my makeup. Oh no, I do love her. Now what do I do? To wrap up the arc, Marin is given the chance to appeal to the student council president. Part of the competition is to make the judge's heart go doki doki. Earlier on, Marin and the girls decided to do the champagne call from the anime, but Marin rewrote the lyrics. They also got permission from the student council to have the whole class participate in the call. And Marin leads the charge. With a simple but powerful gesture, she takes control of the audience. Then the singing and cheering start. The whole class is involved, singing about how they're going to be number one. The whole school cheers for them, and Marin puts her arm around the president. She pulls her in close and asks to be her number one. The president gushes out a mumbled yes. The crowd erupts, and the chapter ends. Of course their class took first place, and Marin is crowned the princess. Gojo is mortified and has no idea what to do. He had fun, but he's still not used to the attention. He's fine making Marin shine, but he doesn't need to shine. He'd rather just make her costumes and let her get all the attention. I think we'll leave the video here for now. This pretty much wraps up the first half of what the new season will cover. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will be the whole season, depending on how the director wants to cover the events. But it's only 3 volumes of the manga, a mere 24 chapters. Compare that to Season 1 that covered 39 chapters. However, the next arc, the Coffin arc, as well as the setup for that arc, is another 23 chapters. And it leads directly into the Mandate of Heaven arc. So who knows? Maybe we'll get all of it. If you'd like me to do a video discussing the Coffin arc, leave a comment below. But don't forget to also support the author and buy official merchandise. Remember, if you want a Season 2 or 3 of an anime, you need to buy the books and figures supporting the efforts of anime creators. In other words, the reason there was never a Season 2 of No Game No Life was because you didn't buy enough figures. It's all your fault. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Damon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Borgie, Nazwin, Pedro, Midge, Alix, Alex, Julio, Valeri, Conga, Ignis, RJ, Aaron, Chris, Robert, and Joel. You guys are awesome. I post new anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.